was the MIP, or insurance premium you have to pay. But as of this March, that's been slashed by almost 50%, which means a lot less money wasted, and depending on the loan size, could save you a couple $100 a month on your mortgage.
Inconceivable. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
Every summer, Pine Valley Camp changes lives, not just for the more than 100 underserved kids who attend each week, but for the many high school and college-age volunteers and staff who work with them as lifeguards, cooks, camp counselors, and more. If you're 16 to 25, apply now and come help make an impact and change lives in a fun, safe Christian family environment. Apply today at pinevalleycamp.org. Pine Valley Camp, rebuilding broken lives through Jesus Christ in Beaver County. Camp opens mid-June. Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call doing it right.
724 New Roof.
Breezy this evening, otherwise mostly cloudy with a rain or snow shower in spots, the low 36. Cloudy, windy, and cold tomorrow with a shower around, maybe a snow shower early in the day. A jacket may come in handy. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 48. Mainly clear skies tomorrow night with a low of 33. Partly sunny skies Wednesday with a high of 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
Hey, a very happy Monday to you, if that's such a thing. That is such a thing, isn't it?
It is such a thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Happy that you're with us here today. We've got ourselves a jam-packed show. And, Kath, you're all dolled up?
I am. We're going out tonight, John.
Yes,
we are. I mean, not you and me. Well, I mean, you and me, but also our spouses.
Yeah, so here's the difference. You're all dolled up. I'm wearing a T-shirt.
What's that about, Lex? I mean, goodness sakes.
I mean, I appreciate it and everything.
Yeah.
But
you know what I had to put on?
Tell me. Oh, your boots.
I had to put the boots back on. Now, I was wearing flip-flops yesterday.
Right.
But it is just cold.
It's chilly. Mm-hmm.
It's not just kind of not warm. It's like, no, I actively put my boots on.
Right. So it's a few days, and then we're back in later on in
Is
the
that
week.
true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. A few days of the 40-ish temperatures,
okay,
and then we'll start to climb midweek.
Could we stay in the 60s for a while?
Well, it's still April, so.
I'd like to stay in the 60s for a while.
Yes.
I don't think jumping to 85 was what I had in mind either. I sound like a big whiner.
Well,
but
we're here
doing what
Monday.
I can, and we have a terrific show for you today.
Yes,
it's April 17th, and it's the first time we're going to touch on National Poetry Month.
Oh, mid-month.
Yeah. Better late than never.
I guess, sure.
We'll hit that at 4:50 today. In our 5 o'clock hour, looking forward to having live music in the studio. Our good friends Greg and Rebecca Sparks, longtime Pittsburgh and national musicians, will be with us today. Share some spring music.
Tunes and theology.
I like it. Also coming up in this hour, we'll talk to Amy Julia Becker. She's been a writer for almost 2 decades now. As a mom of a young woman with disabilities, we'll talk to her about that. And then Greg Clugston live from the White House in just a couple.
That's fun. That's a lot, isn't it?
I think it is.
Good weekend for you?
It was a good weekend. I saw you also a couple times over the weekend.
Saw you. Yep. Saw you too. Yeah. Yeah. We went bowling.
Yeah, we
bowled Saturday.
We did duck pin bowling.
Mm-hmm.
You did better than I did.
I didn't do great.
You didn't do great, but you did better than me.
Yeah.
Which was slightly frustrating.
Well, duck pin's kind of weird. It was
I
the first.
love it.
Yeah, it's very.
I like it better than bowling.
It's a lot easier.
It's
a lot.
Well, if it was a lot easier, then you and I should have done a lot better.
Well, a less wear and tear. I mean, you're not lugging that 30-pound ball, whatever the ball is.
It shouldn't be 30.
Like I'm Fred Flintstone.
I usually try to look for a 10 or 11.
Well, it feels like. But this thing, you hold it in your hand, whip it down there, boom.
I think it's way more fun.
Yeah.
I like having 3 chances.
I was a little flummoxed by that, quite honestly, because it feels as though the third try, even if you get it, there's not much of a payoff.
Well, you don't get a spare. Like, even if you get all the pins, it doesn't count as a spare.
Yeah.
So you don't get the little bonus.
Right. What was the name of the place we were?
Pin Mechanical.
On the South Side, right next to the old South Side Theater.
Right.
We were by far and away the oldest people in the room, not by a few years, but by decades.
That is
By decades.
Seriously,
it
is stressful to go anywhere with you because you are always convinced you're the oldest person.
No.
Yes, that's true.
No,
yes,
that's
it
not
is. Yeah, it is true.
I don't think so.
Wait till the concert tonight. We're going to be sitting there at the concert, and you're going to be texting me because we're not sitting together about how you're the oldest person in your section.
Listen, you walk in. The average age in that room last night, Saturday night, was 23.
No, the average age was probably 38.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Plus, it was really loud.
Yes.
It was so loud.
Now you sound like an old man.
It was.
For
Wasn't
goodness. It was
so loud.
Where
Holy
we
smokes.
were, I thought it was super fun. I loved it.
It was a perfect little corner.
I really loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back and try to improve my game.
Good. All right. I'm glad to hear. I'm with you.
Because I was just bad. I was bad.
Yeah,
my
it's
husband and I got exactly the same score.
What? Really?
Exactly the same.
See, I was trying to follow him. He was very gentle.
He was. He thought that the gentle approach was going to be. But I don't think that panned out.
I think the accuracy is everything.
Yeah,
right?
I think it is.
Our friend Mike.
Yeah, he killed it. And then his wife Rhonda came in second.
Yeah, what the heck?
That was upsetting.
All right, that's duck pin bowling. Should we move to the news?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I mean, why shouldn't we jump from duck pin bowling to international news as we always do?
You only get that on the ride home.
Without further ado, the top 4 at 4. Thank you.
For Monday, April 17th, 2023, number 1. More than 6 decades after its church was displaced to clear the way for construction of the former Civic Arena, Bethel AME Church will once again get land in Pittsburgh's Lower Hill. Reading here from today's Trib, it says that the church is set to develop a 1.5-acre site at the corner of Crawford and Bedford Avenues, currently owned by the URA here in Pittsburgh. The Penns had rights to develop the site, but chose instead to give it to the church.
Good.
This is a really good move, I think. Dale Snyder, who's the pastor of Bethel AME, said, "Our goal is to create a positive ecosystem for African Americans within a sustainable, mixed-use development with residential and commercial purposes." He outlined plans for a state-of-the-art daycare center and between 280 and 350 apartments. Planned for additional commercial space or a worship center have not yet been finalized. I like it, John. You feel good about that?
Yeah, let's build a church there.
Okay. He said the Penns, they're our heroes.
Excellent.
I like to hear that.
It's only fair.
I know. Number 2, the defrocked Roman Catholic cardinal who became the face of the church's clergy sex abuse crisis has been charged in the state of Wisconsin with sexually assaulting an 18-year-old man more than 45 years ago. A criminal complaint filed Friday alleges that Theodore McCarrick, who was removed from the priesthood in 2019 after a Vatican investigation, found that he had both sexually molested adults and children. And there's some more details here I think I'm probably going to skip over. But I will tell you that the alleged victim, who's not named, told investigators that McCarrick had repeatedly sexually assaulted him since he was 11 years old. You can read the rest of the details at abc.news. Number 3. A federal judge in New York on Monday denied former President Donald Trump's latest attempt to delay his trial in the defamation and battery case brought by former Elle columnist E. Jean Carroll. Carroll sued Trump back in November, alleging he defamed her by calling her a liar when he denied her claim that Trump raped her in a department store dressing room in the 1990s. She added a charge of battery under a recently adopted New York law that allows adult survivors of sex abuse to sue their alleged attacker regardless of the statute of limitations. Trump has repeatedly denied Carroll's allegations. That's also from ABC News. And number 4, would you like some happy news?
Please. Anything.
I feel like we could use
anything.
Yeah, whatever I say.
Talk about peanut butter.
NASA released a new image today of 2 spiral galaxies in the process of merging 250 million light years away in the constellation of Serpens, captured by the James Webb Space Telescope. That is your top 4 at 4.
Excellent.
Okay, so this collision has been named.
Is it going to happen?
It's happening.
Oh, it's happening.
It's happening because it began 700 million years ago.
Yeah.
So it's definitely happening.
It happened Tuesday. Last Tuesday.
No, it's called ARP 220.
Oh, yeah. Well, the old ARP 220.
It's an ultraluminous infrared galaxy with a luminosity of more than 1 trillion suns.
Really?
Than a trillion suns.
Isn't that cool? That is so wild.
The amount of gas in this tiny region equal to all of the gas in the entire Milky Way galaxy.
I mean, the James Webb Telescope has been around for maybe 6 months.
And it's like changed everything.
Boom, boom.
Isn't it
incredible.
exciting?
It's fabulous. It really is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you can read more about that at CBS News.
All right. Well, that's a heck of a lot.
Also, the Pirates 2-2 with the hated Cardinals.
The Pirates are playing another game of the Cards right now.
No.
Oh.
I don't think so. No, they played yesterday.
I thought you were saying the score is 2-2 with the Cards.
No. I meant they went 2-2 in their series with the Cards.
Yeah.
It should have been 3-1.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed. You know why they lost that game yesterday? Because of the stupid runner starts on second in extra innings.
Yeah.
Do you hate that?
No, I don't mind it. No. I hate it less than I thought I would. No. It brings high drama quickly into focus.
Oh my gosh, I dislike it so much.
Although
it's
yesterday,
not baseball. Why are we just someone's just like magically being deposited on second base? What?
I don't know.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am. Mm-hmm. Although yesterday I did tune into the radio broadcast and I heard Greg Brown, the Pirate broadcaster, complaining about how quick the games were and won't the commissioner do something?
How about that?
Which I loved.
Yeah.
They're fine. I'm fine with it.
The average game has been cut by 30 minutes.
Good. It's about time. Hanging out there with your batting gloves. Okay, we'll take a quick break, and then we're going to reconvene at the White House as we do every Monday afternoon. Greg Clugston will join us, bring us up to dates about what's happening around the nation and the world. This is The Ride Home. We are Pittsburgh's Christian Talk on Word FM.
101.5 WORD.
Coming up on Real Life Radio.
3 things that the Bible says about the God of the Bible. The God Jehovah, the God who's created all that there is. That he's holy. It says God is holy, God is light, and God is love. That's all you need. That God loves you, that God invites you to come into the light, and that God is holy.
Real Life Radio with Pastor Jack Hibbs, weekday mornings at 11:30 on 101.5 Word FM.
Spring is in the air. Spring is everywhere. Hi, it's me, Marcia from the Spring House, and spring is a great time of year on both our farm and our store. It kicks off with farm tours, and we just love sharing our farm with all those precious young folks. Graduation party season and wedding and shower season start up now too. So my sister Jill and her catering crew are on the road in our red Springhouse vans almost every day, delivering homemade country cooking to families all over the Tri-County area. My brother Sam and his farm guys are busy this time of year planting corn and pumpkins and hay, along with getting the cows milked and fed 2 times a day too. The Springhouse store crew loves serving all the families that come to visit, to enjoy our homemade lunches and suppers, to take a zing down our hillside slide, and to top off their experience with a Springhouse ice cream concoction like a strawberry ice cream shortcake. Come see us and let us share a little of our farm with you at the Springhouse. 724-228-3339 or springhousemarket.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-626-5252. That's 800-626-5252. 800-626-5252.
At Chilled to Perfection in Oakmont, you can look perfect at any age. Safe, fast, and completely non-invasive. Chilled to Perfection is your all-natural way to target stubborn body fat, age spots, cellulite, acne, hair loss, and more. For a limited time, get a cryoskin treatment in the area of your choice, plus cryofacial for just $249. Defy your age, where your results are their business. Visit chilledtoperfectionpgh.com today.
Every Monday, we venture to the White House where Greg Clugston joins us. Greg Clugston is the SRN News White House correspondent. He brings us up to date about what's happening in the nation's capital, around the nation and the world. Hey, Greg, happy Monday to you. How are things?
Hey, things are good, John.
Good.
Kathy, good to be here as always. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed.
Boy, there's a lot to get into. I mean, there always is. Every Monday I say, well, there's so much to talk to Greg about. I guess I should just assume that every week we're going to have a lot to talk about. Let's start with the abortion pill. Mifepristone or mifepristone. I've heard it both ways. A lot of conversation about it. Talk about the Supreme Court, what we know about its ruling and how people are responding, and if the White House has made a comment.
Right. So this is interesting because here we are less than a year after Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is once again dealing with this issue. It's the issue that won't go away for a number of reasons. So this goes back a couple of weeks when we had a Texas judge essentially say that he was ruling against the FDA's approval of this abortion pill, this drug, mifepristone. And so what has happened in the meantime is there have been a couple of other court rulings at the appeals court level, and also another case in Washington State, where the Washington State, you had Democratic attorneys general essentially arguing in that case that the process for the FDA approving this kind of drug is really at issue, and they were trying to essentially defend the FDA process. So you have these conflicting rulings, and that's why it's been kicked up to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court last week did take some action, but it was just a temporary move. You had Justice Samuel Alito, and what the justices do, they divide up geographically different regions of the country when these issues need to be addressed on a rather immediate basis. And Alito was looking at this Texas case because that's where it originated, and he said, we're going to just basically pause for 5 days here until this coming Wednesday. And until then, we're going to hear from the Justice Department, the Biden administration, and we're going to hear from the pro-life groups that brought the original case in Texas. And so essentially, we're waiting on that to happen. And then by Wednesday or shortly thereafter, we should hear from the Supreme Court as to what will happen next. For example, whether or not these restrictions that the lower courts are asking to be placed on the abortion pill can take effect while litigation continues. So essentially, this is the first step of what's still going to be a multi-step process, but it's got the attention of a lot of people across the country.
Right. So, Greg, just to be clear, this is just one portion of a state. This is not a nationwide abortion ban pill, right? Abortion pill ban. This is just someone testing the waters.
Well, yeah, right. It's not to be confused with abortion bans that have been popping up in the states since the reversal of Roe v. Wade. This is a ruling by a judge in Texas who said that the abortion pill should not be available nationwide because he was essentially arguing, as the pro-life groups brought and alleged in their case, that the FDA process should not have approved this drug in the first place because they deem it to be an unsafe drug. So it would have national implication if, in fact, the Texas court ruling were to continue to receive approval all the way up the court system.
Interesting.
There was also some conversation, I'm not sure if you caught some of this, Greg, about how the judge, Matthew Kaczmarek, that's my best guess, that looks like a Polish name to me, was not putting this ruling on his docket initially. And people were upset that there was some kind of, like, he was trying to keep things from the public. They were asserting a public's right to know, which of course I totally understand. But the judge was asserting how many threats he had received, he and his family had received because of his ruling on it. So not only is this a contentious issue to be settled in the courts and in the legislature, Greg, but it's so hotly contested in culture that people are afraid, for their own safety and the safety of their family.
Right. I've laid out essentially kind of what the legal pathway is here, at least initially here this week and for the next few days. But you're right. This is attracting attention and creating and stirring division on a number of different fronts. One, the safety of those, and we've seen in other cases, not just abortion, but including abortion, other cases that have been divisive, and judges and their families have been threatened, have been attacked, in some cases have been killed. So it's a very serious issue on that front. And also, you've got the White House with the Justice Department essentially last week requesting an emergency request to the Supreme Court to not stop the distribution of this pill while this matter is in the courts. So it's hitting people. And you've got a lot of states, especially those with Democratic governors, who are essentially trying to stockpile the abortion pill in their states because they're afraid that it could, in fact, be the sale of it could actually be stopped here, at least temporarily.
We're speaking with Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. Greg, let's move forward and look at other news stories. It's deja vu all over again because the Republicans and Democrats are once again wrangling over the debt ceiling crisis.
Yeah, this is something that we knew was going to pick up pace here as we head in through the spring and the early summer time. And that's because we're maybe 6, 7 or so weeks, that's the best guess right now, away from really having Congress need to make a decision about raising the debt ceiling. And this is this occasional periodical vote that has to happen in Congress for lawmakers to say, we approve up to a certain level the amount of money the federal government can borrow to essentially pay its bills that have already been incurred. But what is happening this time is the House Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, he wants to exact some concessions from the White House, from President Biden and the Democrats. He wants to say, we want to put a cap on some future federal spending in exchange for raising the debt ceiling this summer. So that's his argument. He made that pitch again today in a speech on Wall Street, trying to appeal to those that might be tuning in from a business perspective. The White House is crying foul because Republicans in the past, when there was a Republican as president in the White House, had no problem in raising the debt ceiling. So they see it as being hypocritical, but we're going to come down to crunch time here in the next month and a half or two.
Good gravy.
All right, Greg, even though it's 2023 only, it looks like we've got some campaign ads that are already floating out for Ron DeSantis, not put out by his campaign, I guess, but by his supporters. I'm not sure what the regulations are with that, but tell us.
Well, essentially, Kathy, because he's not formally declared his presidential bid yet, he can have not a campaign officially do this, but he can have support groups. So political action committees that are on board behind DeSantis just over the weekend started rolling out some TV and online ads. And it's really the first time that those who are supporting DeSantis are starting to fight back a little bit because Donald Trump has been going after DeSantis with ads and campaign emails for many, many weeks now. And so this is seen as the next step toward what is sure to be, likely to be, an announcement by Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, to make an official bid for running for the White House in the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. So essentially, this is a feud between the current top two contenders in the GOP for that nomination.
Wow. It seems so early, but we've been talking about
something I don't want to start into.
You got that right, yeah. Greg, just the other day, I saw my next-door neighbor place his electric bike on a bike rack on his electric vehicle, which I thought was portending all things electric in this country. The Biden administration is jumping on board with electric vehicles. Talk about that and this administration's path forward for electrifying everything.
Right. Well, this is a big priority, and it's a big push by Joe Biden and his administration. In fact, last week, and even I think some more coming this week, some proposals are rolling out from the administration that would really put make it essentially law that by 2032, and that's what, 9 years away, not that long, not that far away, 9 years from now, that 2/3 of brand new passenger cars in this country would have to be electric vehicles.
Wow.
So basically, look, what, 60, 66, 67% of all new cars would need to be electric. This past year, it was under 6% of all new passenger vehicles sold. So that's a huge leap. Whether you're for or against this idea of electric push for vehicles, that seems to be a large leap. That is agreed to. And then there are questions about the infrastructure, the number of charging stations that would be available on major highways and roadways. Obviously, there's an infrastructure plan that was passed. It was a bipartisan effort, and that will include some money for those kinds of infrastructure expenses. But a lot of people think that it's maybe moving a little too quickly. And it's interesting. There have been a couple of polls out, a couple of surveys, nationwide surveys over the last week by 2 or 3 different polling organizations, including Gallup. And there's some resistance there, not necessarily to the overall idea of electric vehicles, but buying electric vehicles in the near term. And there are 4 out of 10 Americans who say that they will never buy an EV. So there is resistance there. It probably will fade and it will adjust as time changes. And there are changes when it comes to the infrastructure in this country. But right now, it's a big push, but there is also some pushback from the American people.
Greg, have you ever been to Pittsburgh?
I have.
Okay, well,
really only about one time. I've driven through and nearby, but I've been to Pittsburgh one time officially. Yes.
Okay.
Downtown.
Well, first off, before I go on with what I was going to say, we would love to host you sometime when you come to Pittsburgh. But
it would be fun.
Here's the thing: Pittsburgh's an old city, and there are a lot of places in the city where you live kind of on a different level than where your car is. Like, my first house, I was 30 steps away from my front door from where my car was. So where would you plug in? There are a lot of places in Pittsburgh. I can't imagine where you would charge your car.
Right.
I seriously can't imagine how that would ever happen.
No, I think that's a legitimate concern. That's one example that people would point to as being a hesitation for moving forward with a purchase. Also, the cost, the price of electric vehicles, in some cases, quite a bit higher than the median average of passenger vehicles right now. So that's another concern, and that's the thing. It's going to take time, and with these new EPA proposals the Biden administration is putting out, you've got some detractors and even just some people in the middle of the road on the fence on this saying, can we get there that quickly? That's a big question mark.
Right. And is electric really green? I mean,
right. I mean, look how much coal are we going to have to burn to,
electrify everything.
Right. Provide all this electricity.
Right.
And we also rely on a lot of Chinese manufacturers for some of the key components in electric vehicles right now, too. And that relationship with that country isn't the greatest.
Not so good.
All right. Well, we're already over time, but Greg, I do need to ask you something silly because it wouldn't be this segment if I didn't do that. News comes from New York City that there's a rat outbreak, which is not a shock to anyone who's either lived in New York or
visited. You were just there.
You were just there. Did you see any rats, Greg?
Thankfully, I did not.
Okay. Well, listen, there is a rat outbreak, despite what you saw. And PETA is blaming it on human beings' disgusting behavior.
Well, there's something to be said for that, right?
So I guess my question for you, Greg, is are you coming down on the side of the rats or the humans?
Pro-rat, anti-rat.
Well, was there specific human behavior that was cited as the reason here?
The culmination of our garbage.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this when I was in New York a couple weeks ago, but when I'm ever in the city there, I'm reminded there's nowhere for businesses, for example, for most businesses on those crammed city streets to store garbage for more than a day or two. And that's why the garbage is put out on the street, on the sidewalk every single night. And the garbage trucks run all night. And John, you know this from being in New York years ago.
Yep.
It's an all-night job every night, all through the city. So
it's loud.
I would say that we have some reason to be at blame. Sorry to say, but
he's coming down on the side of the rat.
Well,
what's the rat to do? Just ignore the garbage pile?
Right.
I like that. What is the rat to do?
PETA says they're intelligent, sensitive creatures. So, right?
I mean, they're not talking about the New Yorkers. Anyway, thank you, Greg.
Greg, always a pleasure. Thank you for being with us.
Take care.
Thank you. You take care. What is a rat to do?
What is a rat to do?
I think that's good as we start our Monday show. Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent, easily found SRN News, wordfm.com.
People ask me sometimes, Lance, I'm worried about my finances, and I feel bad because I shouldn't be worried, right? I realize that inflation is going to be eating up money. I've got to do something to get around this crazy stock market and Biden's spending spree. Gold has, since the beginning of time, been the resource that God's people have relied on. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, is what the prophet Haggai said during a time of great shaking. To protect your retirement, I recommend that you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. I want you to text the words FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and get a free info kit on gold IRAs. There's no strings attached to this, so just text FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and see what I've discovered here about gold and its ability to stabilize your investment and create a storage of wealth for you in unsteady times.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify and receive your free tax assessment by dialing 800-784-4538. If you or your business owe back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-784-4538. 800-784-4538. That's 800-784-4538.
Terry Wargenis here from the Gateway Clipper. Celebrate Mom with a family aboard a Mother's Day cruise, sailing Sunday, May 14th. All moms will receive a special gift from all of us at the Clipper. For reservations, visit gatewayclipper.com.
Roofing, siding, or remodeling?
Want it done right, call Doing It Right.
724 New Roof.
We are everywhere. On your radio at 101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Breezy this evening, otherwise mostly cloudy with a rain or snow shower in spots, the low 36. Cloudy, windy, and cold tomorrow with a shower around, maybe a snow shower early in the day. A jacket may come in handy. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 48. Mainly clear skies tomorrow night with a low of 33. Partly sunny skies Wednesday with a high of 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
A driver in Oregon was hurling cash out of his vehicle on Tuesday of last week.
On purpose?
Yes, throwing $100 bills, prompting drivers
out
in
of his
both
car?
directions, to stop and collect the money. Oregon State Police were called. 7:23 p.m., there were calls coming in about money floating on Interstate 5. Responding troopers identified the driver as 38-year-old Colin Davis McCarthy of Eugene, Oregon. He explained his actions by telling the troopers that he wanted to, quote, gift the money, roughly $200,000 he was throwing out the window. There was no way to confirm how much dough actually was being tossed. Troopers then asked McCarthy to stop throwing money onto the roadway because it was creating a traffic hazard. No criminal charges were considered. Oregon State Police said they were responding to troopers who couldn't find the bills after the highway incident. They did a thorough job of gathering the, quote, loose money.
So him wanting to give a couple $100,000 away is such a wonderful thing.
How dangerous.
Why are you throwing it out the window on the road? There are a lot of organizations that would be so happy to receive a little check in the mail, a little credit card deduction. What are we doing with the cash?
How do you get $200,000 in cash? It seems kind of shaky, doesn't it? That kind of money?
Where are you going to...
Right. Twice over the past weekend, I went to ATM machines and they would not dispense cash to me.
You know what? I had a friend who owns his own business and deposited several checks in an ATM over the weekend.
Yeah.
And got a receipt But when Monday came, there was nothing. They were not entered into his account.
Really?
And so he went into the bank and he said, hey, listen, it was just yet last night I did this. And he went first thing Monday morning.
Yeah.
And he said, look, can you just...
Here's my receipt.
And you know what they said? Oh, well, we don't own the ATMs.
So we're not responsible for what happened?
He was like, what do you mean you don't own the ATMs? It's 12 feet around the side of your building.
It's connected to the front of your bank.
They said, no, it's an external company. So we can't get into it. We don't have access to it. It's like you're the bank.
Right. So just kicking it down the road.
So now it makes me a little nervous about depositing checks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad when there's no cash there, obviously. But to me, it's an easy deposit.
Do you use your phone to deposit checks now?
I don't know how to do that.
Oh, what? You just take a picture of the check? You don't do that?
Huh.
Take a picture of your check, front and back, and then you write electronic deposit only, and it goes into your account. And then you just throw the check away.
What?
Yeah. You don't do that.
I've never done that. I didn't know that was a thing.
Lex, you do this?
All the time.
What?
That's the only way I deposit checks anymore.
There you go.
Wait. You guys, I'm behind.
Yeah, you are. A little behind.
So now on the list, I have to teach you how to clock out on your phone and also deposit checks on your phone.
I was doing vacation accrual today as well.
First of all, I'd be happy to receive both of those things from you. And second of all, don't be so pedantic.
No, it's good. Again, we were the oldest people
We were
bowling,
not the
and this
oldest people
we were.
bowling.
By far and away.
Oh, my.
And you can deposit your checks over your phone.
101.5 WORD.
Turning Point with David Jeremiah.
It's remarkable to think about that, but when we're in the will of God through Jesus Christ, we will never face a genuine need for which God doesn't give us a genuine provision. Whether we're stranded on a desert island or we simply feel that way, the Lord will provide.
Dr. David Jeremiah continues his series, The God You May Not Know, next time on Turning Point.
This evening at 7:30 on 101.5 WORD.
Noble Gold Investments has made it their mission to stay on top of the most important economic news. 3 bank runs in the last month. These are the second largest and third largest runs in history. The government is taking steps to guarantee all deposits. That means more money printing. Plus, the Fed is sitting on unrealized losses of $1.2 trillion on their $8.3 trillion bond portfolio. And the Fed will continue to raise interest rates even if they tank the economy. Do you know who are the only ones not afraid? The ones that are invested in gold with Noble Gold Investments. Gold is the most stable asset outside of any government control. Thousands have approached Noble Gold Investments to get their hands on gold. Hurry and go to noblegoldinvestments.com to secure your wealth now. Use AIN Network as promo code if you want to get a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with each gold or silver IRA if you qualify. noblegoldinvestments.com. noblegoldinvestments.com.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I'm 11. Some people my age might think water in a basement's pretty cool. Who wouldn't want an indoor swimming pool? But my dad taught me a thing or two about homes.
You mean all those times I talked about waterproofing? You were actually listening?
Absolutely. I'm like Alexa.
Okay, so how does J&D waterproofing protect your home?
By keeping water out of the basement so it doesn't compromise the structure of your home.
And?
By not giving yucky mold and mildew a place to grow.
Pretty good.
Dad, I wasn't finished.
Oh, sorry.
And J&D waterproofing can save you money.
Do tell.
By saving you from having to replace your basement appliances from water damage.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Got water problems? Don't cry. Call 1-800-VERY-DRY.
J&D waterproofing. 1-800-VERY-DRY.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Knodik and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
Amy Julia Becker's back with us. She writes on personal, spiritual, and social healing and is the author of several books, including her latest, To Be Made Well, an invitation to wholeness, healing, and hope. Amy Julia, we're glad you're back.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Always a pleasure, Amy. So tell us the story. You were in 6th grade and you and your family moved to Connecticut.
This is true. So this is back in the, long ago, mid-'80s, and we moved to Connecticut, and I found myself in a school where I got placed in a talented and gifted program. And it's one of those things that I felt was a mark of pride and a badge of honor. And I guess I was supposed to feel that way. Yeah. And yet I also found that the harder I worked, the harder I felt I had to work. And the more I needed to be impressive to other people and to my peers. And it took a few years for what had been a sense of joy to become simply a sense of anxiety about always needing to perform and achieve, no matter what the cost.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. So someone says you are gifted, and then it creates all sorts of weird, twisting anxiety, and it kind of comes back and bites you.
And it certainly did for me. I know this doesn't happen to all kids by any means. I ended up with a really severe eating disorder, and I was hospitalized and had to leave school. So this gift, so to speak, that I had, which came from a passion for reading and writing and learning and thinking and all of these things, turned into something that really began to break me from the inside out until I, and this took many years, began to see it as something other than a way for me to prove myself in the world.
So what did that look like? You mentioned that it manifested as an eating disorder for you. Did the experience alter your personality?
Well, that's a great question. It's a little hard to tell when you're an adolescent what your personality would have been, and to sort through all of that. But I do think I was a lot more driven and subdued, and, anxiety kind of took over. And a sense of isolating myself from other people in order to simply get the work done. It was about midway through college that I really, and at this point I was a Christian and was trying to follow Jesus, and I really had a sense that I needed to let go of this striving and pay attention to people. And so I made a commitment before God that as I was going to go through college, this is, for my junior and senior year, if anyone interrupted my work to say, will you walk with me to the, sandwich shop, I would say yes. I would let myself be interrupted and let my work be interrupted. And that's where one shift began to happen in my heart that was really directing me outward instead of inward. And I still did my work, and I still learned a lot, and I still enjoyed it and, did well. But there was a shift that was beginning to happen. And, various things along the way of my life, including the birth of our daughter, Penny, shifted things even more in that direction.
Oh, good. So then you've been with us for a long time, over the many years. We've never met Penny, although we feel like Catholic, we know her in some ways. You write about her so beautifully. Years later, as you say, you had a daughter, Penny, born with Down syndrome, and it forced you to look at gifts a little differently.
Yeah, when Penny was first born and diagnosed with Down syndrome, there was a nurse who came into the hospital room. And she said to me, as I was falling asleep that first night, as a new mom with a new baby who had an unexpected and really hard at the time diagnosis, and that nurse said to me that she had also had a special child. And I asked her, how old is your child now? And she said, he died a long time ago. And I really did not want to hear that. That seemed like terrible news as far as I was concerned. But I said, oh, I'm so sorry. And she shook her head at me as if I didn't understand what she was trying to tell me. And she said, he was a gift. And then she walked out of the room. And in that moment, I had a sense that if I could understand what she meant, which I did not at the time, how could a son or a child who has died young be considered a gift? How can a child with special needs be considered a gift? But I also had a sense that if I could understand that, I could understand something different, not only about my daughter, but also about myself. And what I saw at that time in our daughter, I saw her neediness. the neediness of every baby, of course, but also the neediness that comes with having particular needs, what we, sometimes call special needs, what we call disability. But over time, I started to see that she also had gifts, that she was a gift, and that she had gifts. And that began to give me new eyes on myself and on my other kids and on other people in the world. And it really transformed the way I saw both giftedness and neediness, and how we might offer those things when we encounter one another.
What about if the you of now, Amy Julia, could have a conversation with the you of then, of that moment? I think about that a lot with myself. What would I tell me with what I know now? What about you? How would you answer that?
Yeah, I think about that a lot, too, because I now have teenagers. Penny's 17, and I have a 14-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. So, and they are growing up in a similar culture to what I did in terms of that sense of achievement and performance, and it being so easy to measure ourselves based on, grade point averages and, scores on our standardized tests. And what I try to do with my kids, which I think is what I would want to say to myself when I was 14, is to really emphasize even just that language of gifts and needs. We also talk a lot about challenges and strengths in our family, and being able to recognize the ones that aren't measurable. So trying to see in ourselves and in other people, what is it that I have to offer and what is it that I need, and not seeing needs in terms of something that's shameful, because I think all of that goes back to really what's underneath it all is a sense of the belovedness that has been given to us intrinsically by God, but also, in these networks of relationships we have, we love each other, hopefully not because of how we appear or perform, but because of who we are, because we've been given to one another. So that's what I would want myself to understand, is that belovedness, but I don't know that words would do it. I think it would have a lot to do with really experiences and opportunities coming alongside, in the case of my kids, not simply showing up for their events and praising them when they do well in these measurable ways, but really commending them when I see that they've worked hard, or simply being with them and saying, yeah, let me tell you about a time when I didn't get it all right. And, just trying to be honest about the failures and the possibilities in such a way that it can really get at the core of who we are as humans, that we are beloved and that we don't have to perform and achieve in order to be beloved.
That's so valuable. Amy Julia Becker's with us. She's been a guest of ours over the many, many years. She's the author of several books. Her latest is called To Be Made Well, An Invitation to Wholeness, Healing, and Hope. Amy Julia also hosts the Love is Stronger Than Fear podcast. Amy, I think about you often because I read you and listen to you occasionally, and you talked about Penny a couple of weeks ago, where Penny went and got a pair of glasses. I was being fitted for glasses, and she kind of popped into my head. Because when you get a pair of glasses, there are lots of choices that to be made. Tell us that story about Penny and her choices in your conversation.
It was a great conversation because we were using Warby Parker. So we're, selecting glasses online. They come to the house. You try them all on. Yep. You take pictures and, decide what to do with them. And I had a pair of glasses that I thought looked really good on her face. And she said, Mom, it doesn't only matter what you think. It also matters what I think. And it was such a great moment because she actually was still acknowledging that what I think does matter. It just isn't the only thing that matters. And what matters to her is also really important. And it was a beautiful moment in and of itself, but we've talked about it a lot since then because one of the things we want for her is an ability to advocate for herself. And to also know when she needs help with that, when she needs someone else to be a part of a decision. As it happened, the glasses she ended up liking didn't fit on her face because she has a really small bridge of her nose. And so we went into Warby Parker 3 different times in person, and we finally found the right glasses, which felt really like a triumph. But it has been, even in these last couple of weeks, just something that we've come back to again and again, that what she thinks really does matter. And part of my job as her mom is to emphasize how much she matters and how much her opinion matters and how much her sense of herself matters. matters to me and to other people. And then, again, to learn that about myself as well. She teaches me a lot about myself.
That's good.
Wow. Well, always good to talk to you, Amy Julia. Thanks for sharing some of your thoughts with us.
It's always great to be here. Thanks for having me.
That's Amy Julia Becker. Check out her latest book, To Be Made Well, an invitation to wholeness, healing, and hope.
We love her. I mean, she's all over social media, easy to find. And she talks about children and being a parent, and especially a child with a disability so beautifully. Amy Julia Becker.
Tens of thousands affected by the toxic water at Camp Lejeune are left with death, cancer, Parkinson's, dementia, birth defects, and other serious illnesses. And along with the harm, so many worries.
My family drank the Camp Lejeune water. What if our health gets worse and we need more financial help?
How do I protect my VA benefits and get the compensation I deserve and need?
The answer is simple. Call James Harris Law, the experienced, trusted law firm that can get you significant compensation while protecting all your VA benefits. We're already fighting for hundreds of Marines, families, and civilians who drank Camp Lejeune water. But if you miss the deadline, you could forever lose your right to the justice you deserve. So call our Camp Lejeune legal helpline now. Now may be your last chance to receive full compensation. Don't delay. Call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
Dr. Rick here. Another sign you're becoming your parents is getting particular about details that don't matter.
The craziest thing happened when we got tacos the other day. Was it Wednesday or Thursday we got tacos? I know it wasn't Tuesday because that's when I went to my hairdresser. Shoot, what day was it?
See how we all lost interest there?
Progressive can't help you from becoming your parents, but we can help you compare rates on home insurance with Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Yes, we do have availability. Those dates for how many guests?
Andrea's Boutique Hotel is the destination to tie the knot.
Oh, you want the whole property?
She needs an assistant to catch the bookings bouquets.
249 guests, huh? And 3 dogs.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Every day is a great day to play around at All About Golf in Butler. The new Ping lineup is here. Stop by the Pro Shop and check out the all-new line of Ping putters and get newly reduced deals on Ping G425s for a limited time while supplies last. All About Golf bays equipped with top tracer technology are open year-round. 8 to 8 daily, rain or shine. Plus lessons for every age and skill level to help you master your game. All About Golf in Butler. Practice, learn, play. Visit allaboutgolfpa.com.
Has your home fallen victim to Mother Nature? Get a free storm damage analysis from Bachman's Roofing. You may never notice the damage from storms, so let the experienced team at Bachman's Roofing provide a free analysis to check for damages from the recent storms. Bachman's is now offering 0% financing and no payments for 6 months. Call 412-744-8390 or visit bachmansroofing.com to set up your free storm damage analysis by May 1st. That's 412-744-8390.
Did it.
So April's National Poetry Month, and we've done a lousy job of reading any poems whatsoever. So last night I thought to myself, we got to get on it.
Okay. National Poetry Month.
National Poetry Month. So we've observed this over the last probably decade or so. Mm-hmm. Started at the time when I confessed on the air that I hated poetry and hated everything about it.
Hey.
And John was so appalled that he decided to book guests.
Poets.
To convince me that I was wrong until I gave in.
And it's worked.
Which I did. It totally worked.
I think it really sort of aided by the love of the word by your daughter.
Yes, for sure. My oldest daughter loves poetry.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good point. So last night, I was thinking about which poem I should use today. And this morning, I got news that a friend of mine from church passed away suddenly. Mm-hmm. And this poem came to mind. This is by Gerard Manley Hopkins. And he wrote in the middle of the 19th century. But he wrote a sonnet when someone from his church died. And the person he wrote about was called Felix Randall. That was his name, and he was a farrier. So he made shoes for horses. And the sonnet is not long, but it's written a long time ago, so the language might be difficult for you to hear. Plus, I might be not all that hot at reading it. But as the poem goes on, as the sonnet goes on, you can see that it talks about who he was. It talks about how sick, what happened to him when he got sick, what happened to the writer of the sonnet when he saw his friend get sick. And then at the very end, what kinds of shoes for horses Felix Randall would be making now.
Interesting. Any idea what year?
Well, he wrote between, I think he was born in around 1850.
Okay.
And he didn't live a long life, Gerard Manley Hopkins. So he died before 1900.
1880, yeah, somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Okay,
so this poem is called Felix Randall. Felix Randall the farrier. Oh, is he dead then? My duty all ended? Who have watched this mold of man, big-boned and hardy, handsome, pining, till time when reason rambled in it, and some fatal 4 disorders, flesh there, all contended? Sickness broke him. Impatient, he cursed it at first, but mended, being anointed and all, though a heavenlier heart began some months earlier, since I had our sweet reprieve and ransom tendered to him. Ah, well, God rest him, all road he ever offended. This seeing the sick endears them to us. Us, too, it endears. My tongue had taught thee comfort. My touch had quenched thy tears. Thy tears had touched my heart, child Felix. Poor, poor Felix Randall. How far from then forethought of all thy more boisterous years, when thou at thy random grim forge, powerful amidst peers, didst fettle for the great gray dray horse his bright and battering sandal. That's Felix Randall by Gerard Manley Hopkins, thinking about a man from his church who made horses for shoes, who passed away.
Is he dead then?
Is he dead then? At first, it doesn't matter to him. Oh, is he dead then?
And then
as he thinks on it, he thinks, oh, wait a minute. I remember seeing him get sick. I remember the kind of shoes he made. Wow, watching him be sick changed me. And then by the end, imagine what kind of shoes he's making for horses now.
.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh. And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
Choice in your healthcare.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. The U.S. Supreme Court will announce further action this week on the future of an abortion drug. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
In a temporary move last week, Justice Samuel Alito ordered that the lower court rulings on the abortion pill mifepristone be put on hold until Wednesday. Pro-life groups who originally brought their lawsuit in Texas have until Tuesday afternoon to respond to the Justice Department's emergency request that there be no restrictions on the pill during litigation. The High Court then is expected to announce what it decides by midweek. Greg Clugston, Washington.
A Russian court convicting a top opposition figure of treason for publicly denouncing Moscow's war in Ukraine and sentenced him to 25 years in prison. Vladimir Kara-Murza rejecting the charges against him. He's calling it punishment for standing up to Russian President Vladimir Putin. This is SRN News.
You've spent your entire working life paying into it, so don't you want to get the most out of Social Security, squeezing it for all it's worth? Hi, this is Ethan Lane with Accurate Solutions Group. Our team can help show you ways to do that with our free Social Security report. It's a great first step to learn how your benefits can play a role in your overall retirement income plan, especially because the Social Security Administration can't give you advice. It's different for everyone, and there are a lot of factors that go into knowing exactly how to maximize your benefits, but based on the decision you make, you could end up with tens of thousands of extra dollars in retirement simply by being informed. Get this free Social Security report from Accurate Solutions Group by texting the word security to 412-515-3555. That's security to 412-515-3555. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management LLC. Firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government.
People ask me sometimes, Lance, I'm worried about my finances, and I feel bad because I shouldn't be worried, right? I realize that inflation is going to be eating up money. I've got to do something to get around this crazy stock market and Biden's spending spree. Gold has, since the beginning of time, been the resource that God's people have relied on. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, is what the prophet Haggai said during a time of great shaking. To protect your retirement, I recommend that you diversify your 401k or IRA right out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with Gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. I want you to text the words FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and get a free info kit on gold IRAs. There's no strings attached to this, so just text FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898 and see what I've discovered here about gold and its ability to stabilize your investment and create a storage of wealth for you in unsteady times.
Every summer, Pine Valley Camp changes lives, not just for the more than 100 underserved kids who attend each week, but for the many high school and college-age volunteers and staff who work with them as lifeguards, cooks, camp counselors, and more. If you're 16 to 25, apply now and come help make an impact and change lives in a fun, safe Christian family environment. Apply today at pinevalleycamp.org. Pine Valley Camp, rebuilding broken lives through Jesus Christ. In Beaver County, camp opens mid-June.
Guys, if you're frustrated with online dating, give Pittsburgh Singles a try. If you're between 38 and 43, single, Christian, educated, and family-oriented, Pittsburgh Singles has two particular VIP women you might want to meet. These beautiful, educated, local Christian women are looking for the same thing you are, the possibility of forever love with someone who shares their faith and values. Could that be you? Take 3 easy steps to find out with Pittsburgh's premier matchmaking service at pittsburgh-singles.com.
Breezy this evening, otherwise mostly cloudy with a rain or snow shower in spots, the low 36. Cloudy, windy, and cold tomorrow with a shower around, maybe a snow shower early in the day. A jacket may come in handy. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 48. Mainly clear skies tomorrow night with a low of 33. Partly sunny skies Wednesday with a high of 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
The blessings of the bike. The blessing of the bikes.
Which is different than.
Yes, the blessings. Happened this weekend in Murraysville Alliance Church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the guys from the different bike clubs, Christian bike clubs, have joined us over the years. And this happens every springtime. They do the blessings of the bikes, and it's a gigantic event. However, this past yesterday, there was an accident and 4 people were injured. Looks like one person was injured badly and taken away by a medical helicopter. 2 others were taken away by just a regular ambulance. Crash was reported about 1 o'clock out in Sardi's Road. You know the church in Murraysville Alliance?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big church, isn't it?
Yep.
Fabulous church. Hundreds of motorcyclists with riders from all over the area flooded the church's parking lot, eager to hit the roads under sunny skies. Beautiful day yesterday. Riders were invited to the 11 o'clock church service before the public blessing afterward that included prayer, bagpipes, and the national anthem. I'm reading from today's Trib. There are more than 373 registered motorcycles and nearly 800,000 licensed motorcyclists in 2022, according to PennDOT. And now there's an average of 3,172 motorcycle crashes in the state yearly. 3,100 crashes yearly. An unrelated crash on Saturday also injured people. You see it often.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun. You ever been on a bike?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I regret it. I don't regret it, but it's just super dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
It's super dangerous.
I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a bicyclist, talking about distracted drivers and how dangerous it is to ride a bicycle on city streets. And a motorcycle, I mean, you compound that because it's speed and speed. Everyone's distracted.
Yeah.
You see, I was driving next to a guy the other day. He
just
had
looking at his phone
the entire time. the entire time I'm driving with him. We were going down a 2-lane road. I'm like, I want to say something. You don't want to say anything. No, right? I mean, people just... So God bless the motorcyclists. They need to be blessed. And if you're a driver out there, give them extra space always, right? Always.
Also in local news, John, while we're talking about stuff around the Pittsburgh area, a man was arraigned today after police say he attacked a priest outside a Southside monastery. It was a suspended Pittsburgh-based criminal defense attorney who was the perpetrator. Did you know that?
No, what?
40s, yes. Yeah, suspended criminal defense lawyer, age 46 of Scott, charged with aggravated assault and simple assault. This incident happened on Saturday.
Mental health problems.
Pittsburgh police say they responded to St. Paul Monastery on Monastery Avenue around 11 a.m.
Know it well.
Do you?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know where that is.
Way up on the slopes.
Oh, it's on the slopes. Yeah. Got it. Around 11 a.m. for a report of a person inside the church making threats. Upon arrival, police saw a man exiting the church with an elderly man later identified as the Reverend Joseph Sedley. Then they saw this man throw Sedley to the concrete ground and started to punch him. The police officer pulled out a taser, ordered the perpetrator to get on the ground, and then he was placed in handcuffs. The perpetrator may have been drugged at the time of the attack.
So he's a disbarred, is it not disbarred, but he's a lawyer who's been,
how did they say it? A suspended Pittsburgh-based criminal defense lawyer.
Okay. Well, God bless the priest. And if that perpetrator, it sounds like a mental health.
Yeah. Apparently there was some sort of history. I'm reading here from the Trib, in case you're wondering. There was some history of mental illness. There's no information here on the state of the priest. So we're hoping for the best there.
Okay. All right, so let me just pick up that thread with more local news. We love ourselves a ball game, but today the Pittsburgh Pirates organization expressed, quote, disappointment in response to park workers at PNC Park rejecting a proposed agreement yesterday. The stadium workers, part of the Pittsburgh Stadium Independent Employees Union, voted Sunday night to hit the picket lines and strike after rejecting the latest contract. We've bargained in good faith, quote, with union leadership under the guidance of federal mediator for several months, said Pirates Senior Vice President of Communications, Brian Warecki. Well, we've offered unprecedented wage increases and other economic benefits. The latest proposal provided Monday $19 an hour per hourly wage for ticket sellers and $18.65 per hour for greeters.
Okay.
Ushers would make a base pay of $12.40 per hour in 2023 and would be allowed to accept tips. We're told twice by union leadership that they would take the proposed agreement back to its membership with their full support. Now, the Bucks don't play back at PNC Park
until next week, I think.
Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday.
Against the Reds. So hopefully something will be ironed out by then.
Mm-hmm. Wonder where the payment of park workers... I wonder where the Pirates are in that list.
The pantheon.
Because we often talk about the list of where they are and how much they pay their players.
That would be a good question.
They're close to the bottom, but I wonder if you can compare ballpark to ballpark.
Okay, so that'd be a nice job. You're not working a whole lot of hours, right?
I think that'd be a great job.
Well, I would like to be an usher in my retirement.
Would you?
Oh, heck yeah.
Lex, we could go to a game and John will show us where our seats are.
Come on. Sit in here.
I'd love that.
That would be really good.
You're watching the game. You're talking to fans.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be a lot of fun.
Do you were at opening day this year? Do you have any sense in was the crowd a good crowd as far as were people shouting absurd things or drinking too much?
It was an excellent crowd. No, okay. It's a really well-behaved crowd. Really good. I mean, there's always a coconut or two, but listen, if you're going to get inebriated at PNC Park, you better have some deep pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
That.
You're not going to get off light.
No, I mean, now there's this new thing. It's called a walk-by. There were very few vendors, popcorn vendors. Very few of those. But a walk-by thing was just like coolers, $15 for a bottle of beer. A can of beer, I should say. So that's going to cut you down.
101.5 WORD.
Next time on PowerPoint with Jack Cram.
You got your Bible. You have hope.
Even if you can't even get to church, open your Bible, listen to God's Word, and let God's Word comfort you. His living presence is with you wherever you go.
Tune in next time for PowerPoint with Jack Graham. PowerPoint tonight at 9:30 on 101.5 WORD.
Hi, this is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and best-selling author on safety and preparedness. The fact is, things are getting downright scary for everyone who's storing their wealth in the banks. We just saw the collapse of 3 major banks, and I would urge you to consider protecting your wealth ASAP. If even a tiny percentage of Americans attempt to withdraw their savings, we would see a collapse of the entire banking system, sending us into a modern-day Great Depression. Fortunately, there is a way for you to avoid this. It starts with contacting Advantage Gold. If you have an IRA or 401k, Advantage Gold can help convert those paper assets into physical gold and silver. This is the process that I recommend everybody use as a hedge against rapid inflation and to protect your retirement wealth from the banks. Take control of your financial safety today. Call 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit from Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Contact the tax group for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call the tax group right now at 800-792-4730. The tax group will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-792-4730 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other regressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730.
Has your home fallen victim to Mother Nature? Get a free storm damage analysis from Bachman's Roofing. You may never notice the damage from storms, so let the experienced team at Bachman's Roofing provide a free analysis to check for damages from the recent storms. Bachman's is now offering 0% financing and no payments for 6 months. Call 412-744-8390 or visit bachmansroofing.com to set up your free storm damage analysis by May 1st. That's 412-744-8390.
Greg and Rebecca Sparks are with us for many, many decades. The Sparks have been one of the driving forces in Christian music here locally, regionally, across the country. And they pop in. We just say, guys, come on in. Generally, we sort of walk a tightrope because we don't have, here's the topic, right? And then we just opine about whatever's, on our minds, right? And you guys are game for that.
I was opining when I walked in the room here.
Yes, you were.
I didn't realize that you were on the air.
We don't have bottles of water.
Yes, sorry. I can put a bottle of water in the whole place.
No, they're for guests only. And then there's
then
never
when
any
guests
water.
are here, we don't have them.
No, right. We don't have a Dixie cup.
Anyway, nice to see you guys.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Okay, so for people who are listening to the show who think, I don't know who Greg and Rebecca Sparks are, when people say, who are you and what do you do?
Well, where have they been?
What do you say?
Musicianaries.
Okay. Musicianaries. I've never heard you say that before.
That's a good word.
Yeah. It kind of condenses things. But now, we're going to have Mr. Priest over here pretty soon, and
Right. So now we've added, the official dispensation.
No, wait. Okay, so we know that Greg has gone through seminary. Yeah. Graduated from seminary, but wait, the title of Mr. Priest? That's
that's going to be your official toast?
No, Padre is fine.
We are going to have to notify you, though, that our fee...
It will increase.
We're going to have to double it.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise. Yeah, sure.
For radio
instead of just free, it's free with water.
Right. I'm going to need 2
Apparently you're not getting water today. So
sorry.
We just put that in the bank.
Okay, the first time that I met you guys. Of course, you would not remember, but I would.
Don't tell me you were a teenager or something like that.
Yeah, I was 14.
No, you were.
Yes, I was.
Better tell the story.
At Memorial Park Church. And I remember, because we have a common friend, Salim Gabriel.
Yes.
And you came in to do a concert there. And what I remember is your, Rebecca, you had jeans with holes in them with long underwear on underneath them, and they had Looney Tunes on them.
Yes.
Do you remember those?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I very much loved those.
Yeah.
And your hair, Greg, was out there.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Did he have like, it was kind
Was
of
it
like
a mohawk?
He had a mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was large and in charge.
So this was way back.
The 80s, man.
Uh-huh.
We were allowed to do that.
Yeah. This was probably what, 80?
85, 86.
82, something like 83?
Probably 85, 86.
Okay.
That's when all these kids are walking around with the green in their hair and everything. I'm like, whatever.
Been there, done that.
Done that.
Are you trying to do something that startles me or something?
Right. The heck.
Anyway, I loved you from the first minute I met you guys.
That was a while ago.
It sure was.
Yeah.
It sure was. Okay, so you've been musicians ever since and making your living that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were, in those days, we were signed with record contracts and continued in that way.
Yeah. I was bashing the code.
Yeah. Bashing the code, but then Greg and Rebecca Sparks, then we left bashing the code, not right when we got married, but 2 years after we got married. It was just the rigors of that life. And we did like 280 concerts a year.
On the road.
Yeah, we were really, we were off, like, it was really impossible to set any roots,
I can't imagine.
in anything. And so just, I found myself like, somebody had asked me in an interview, well, what are your dreams for the future? And I realized that I just didn't have any. Because everything was for the band, about the band and about the ministry, and they didn't say anything, but in my mind, I was kind of like, oh, that might not be the healthiest thing.
Yeah, right.
So I really started to pray and just like, oh, what are the dreams? What does the Lord want for us or have for us? And so.
And here you are decades later. But
Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting is, many people want to make a living in the arts.
Yeah.
And this is what you've done. You've made a living in the arts.
Yeah.
There's never any sort of A goes to B to C. There's no clear path. And when I think of you, Rebecca and Greg, like everyone creatively, you've zigzagged back and forth. You've grabbed things, let go of things. And at the end, and I'm sure it hasn't been easy oftentimes, you've made a life for yourself. You've had children, raised a family. You've started churches. You've been worship leaders. There's a big, full body of work here. And now you're saying sort of like the exclamation point on all this is Greg as a pastor.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Oh, it is.
That is how you're going to end your days. It is. Like, just being able to kind of, the scope just kept going this way towards the body of Christ, and just realizing, the music is a wonderful vehicle for sharing the gospel, but music also, as we know, in congregational worship and gathering people together is so important in setting the tone for the word being delivered. And, we became members in the Anglican Church shortly after Greg was in seminary. Just like, we had really not wandered around, but we'd worked with all of the denominations and still love all the denominations.
Yeah.
That's what's really great. It's
But
like,
you've worked with a lot, like you're saying.
all of them. If they preach Jesus Christ crucified is the only way to God the Father, we're like,
You're
we've
there.
done concerts with them or led worship in their churches, all of the denominations. But it just really has been an amazing season in the past 5-6 years of just seeing how powerful that the ancient nature, the history that is in the church, and we see it in the creeds and in the liturgies and in those prayers, that we both became really tired of like all of the newness in the church. Like, we're the first ones doing this. Hey, this is the first new thing. We're the new thing. It's like, and going,
There's so much emphasis on if it was a good sermon or if it was a good worship band, then that made a good church service.
Yeah.
And it neglects the gathering together of the saints, the gathering together of the body of Christ to the whole spectrum to confess sin together.
Right.
Say we are sinners, and we are only sinners saved by grace.
Right.
And that's what's beautiful about the liturgy that we can follow. And it's just the thing about coming to the thing where, as musicians and artists, I don't need to be wowed by anybody. I know what it means to have a great performer in front of me.
Yeah.
What I want is the Word of God being brought to me in a way that I can really digest it and take it in.
Mm-hmm.
And is worship, not a musical style, not a genre.
Right.
Is worship coming before God.
Yeah.
So just recently, right, the revival in Asbury, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful.
So it was beautiful, and so what comes out of there is no one was essentially sort of like a CCM superstar or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just people loving the Lord and picking up a guitar or even a cappella, just singing boldly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because the Holy Spirit is alive and present and here.
Yes.
And we see it all the time. You see it in your life where the Holy Spirit has been present, and whether our eyes are open to it. My guess is that there are miracles occurring every day, perpetually. We're just too dim or
We just
distracted.
talked about that today.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we were.
Yeah. And so I think there's just this beautiful. We're in a season right now, I think, that is history, of where we're seeing a shift in the church. And it's a really exciting time. I think the churches will get smaller. Not that, and I have nothing against the big churches.
Right.
But
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
I agree.
But the world that we minister in has always been mostly to young adults and to artists, like people who are creative. They think outside the box, and they often are the same people that feel outside the doors of the church too. And because a lot, you show up like this kind of person, like I'm dressed in, like the skin that I'm dressed in, the person that I'm dressed in, you will perpetually be square peg, round hole.
Right.
And our heart has been providing places and spaces for all of the square pegs,
right,
so that they could know Jesus and love Jesus and be discipled in that way. And I think that there are more and more opportunities that are going to come upon us in the future, and to minister to people in that scope. It's not going to be done with bigness. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be done, and I love a good show. I've been a part of really good ones in my life, but it's going to happen around tables, with food, and with the scripture, and with conversations. And so that's what the importance of where Greg has been, of just being able to be ordained and be able to be able to serve in all of those important landmark moments in a person's life, in baptism, in the breaking of bread, in marriage, in their death and dying, and all of those parts,
The beauty of the local church is there.
Yeah.
Wait, before let's go any further. We always love talking to you guys, but you walk in with a guitar, so would you mind performing something, doing something for us?
Let's do Precious Jesus.
Yeah.
Very good. Here's Greg and Rebecca Sparks. If people want to find you, you've got a web presence, don't you?
Yes.
A little bit. It's not very good.
Well, if
you're
you do
there.
Facebook,
Facebook is better.
Greg and Rebecca Sparks on
But our music's
Facebook.
on like the whole Spotify streaming world.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find our
Apple,
music
whatever,
on Spotify.
Excellent. Greg and Rebecca Sparks. Okay. Here we are live in studio with them. And
I'm going to tilt this down.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
That's good.
I have stubbornly insisted that you walk along my path. How I've dined on grace and mercy, but refused your cup of wrath. Have mercy on me, God. Have mercy on me. I confess I've sinned against you in the the whole of who I am. Even at my best, I falter. At my worst, I trust my plan. Have mercy on me, God. Have mercy on me. Precious Jesus, I surrender. All I dispossess. In the light of your blood and body, in your holiness. One thing I ask, dear Father, this one thing I would seek. I want to live in your presence so I can hear you when you speak. Have mercy on me, God. Have mercy on me. Precious Jesus, I surrender. All I dispossess. Jesus, I surrender. All I dispossess. In the light of your blood and body, in your holiness.
That's so beautiful.
That sure is.
I love that. Original song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
When was it written?
Last year?
Last year.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little post-COVID thing?
During, yeah.
Yeah. Did that kind of jumpstart your creativity being inside, or did it kind of frustrate you guys?
It was one of the most soul-wrenching experiences.
Claustrophobic?
Well, to be a live performer and to not
Have an audience.
Any live bodies.
Yeah, it was all shut down.
Yeah.
Zoom is Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't enjoy performing on Zoom?
Well,
that wasn't satisfying for you.
I did.
He loved it.
I don't like being around people.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, it's hard. But creativity-wise, I mean, you just have to, for Sparks House, for the nonprofit that we lead, we really had to pivot. And because you can't just shut things down. You can't just say, okay, well, then we're not going to serve anybody.
Right.
And our people, you can't do, you can't make art together over Zoom. I mean, we did a couple of events, Facebook Live or things like that. But
it's not the same.
Had to do what you had to do.
We did a lot of outdoors.
Yeah. Right, of course.
Yeah.
So, Greg, Rebecca, just talk about that. I mean, that's fascinating. What you just, that's so beautiful. What you just played could be played anywhere in the world, and people would recognize the holiness of Christ.
Do you think? Well,
I think so.
Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, people sense the Holy Spirit even when they don't know what it is that's happening.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, they can't put words to it, but you cannot be...
Can't hide from that.
No, because it is what brought them into being.
So speak to that for just a second about the creativity. I mean, there you are together. You've been married for a long time, but you're creative partners holding each other together.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's hard to imagine. We're getting to the age where we it's
getting harder.
No, it's like, reasonably speaking, I'm 62, Greg is 64, and we're in those years. You're looking towards this isn't the springtime of our life.
But still, it's undeniable what you're creating.
Oh yeah, no, that I pray will happen until the day the Lord calls us home. But even in that, everything has always been us. And that's the, like, going, what are the chances,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, that creating without the other half,
right,
for us is
even possible.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Right.
I don't know. You know, how that works, because we have always, even when I'm writing a song independently, which, like, I'll write on the piano, and there are
Mm-hmm.
songs that I didn't even know. With this one, I don't even remember. Did I write that on piano?
I think you wrote it on piano, and then I said, here, let me make this a little better for you.
Oh, there's the creative juices.
We're way behind on a break. Lexi's going to have a heart attack.
All right, okay.
Okay, let's go to break.
We'll take a quick break.
Yeah, come
Greg
back.
and Rebecca Sparks are with us. As they say, you can find the music all on Spotify. But we're going to continue on our conversation with Greg and Rebecca just in a few minutes. This is Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. It's the Ride Home on 101.5 Word FM, WORD. God calls us to a deep gladness because we, as believers, we all have a deep hunger. Grove City College knows about that calling, right? They assume, we all do, that caller is Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And so Grove City is committed to helping people, young students, pursue the vision for our lives and believe that you will be changed as you find your sense of purpose, your sense of calling in this world.
And I think that's what we all want out of college, right? We want those 4 years that are filled with so much uncertainty to be ones that end up giving us the clarity we want.
To give us a place.
Yeah, and to give us the foundation of education and the foundation of relationships that we really want. Grove City's a special place, and not every school appeals to every kid or every parent. But this is the time, we're already in March, this is the time when applications are going out. This is the time when you need to make your college visits, your college, your phone calls, all those sorts of things. So if you're a parent of a high school senior or even a high school junior and sophomore who's interested in getting on the ball, this is the time to do it. So do yourself a favor and go up to Grove City and talk to somebody, get a tour from a student, and find out if that indeed is the right place for you and your family.
We're all called to something. Don't you owe it to yourself to investigate the excellence of Grove City College? Look online first, gcc.edu. That's Grove City College.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call now at 800-533-6605 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial now at 800-533-6605. That's 800-533-6605. 800-533-6605.
Terry Wirjonas here from the Gateway Clipper. The best way to see Pittsburgh is aboard a Three Rivers sightseeing cruise. Join us and experience our city and learn something about it too. Sales weekends in April and May. Visit gatewayclipper.com for tickets.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home too at 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
Breezy this evening, otherwise mostly cloudy with a rain or snow shower in spots, the low 36. Cloudy, windy, and cold tomorrow with a shower around, maybe a snow shower early in the day. A jacket may come in handy. We'll reach a high tomorrow of 48. Mainly clear skies tomorrow night with a low of 33. Partly sunny skies Wednesday with a high of 62. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm Drew Shannon.
Greg and Rebecca Sparks are with us. We're talking about a life spent in ministry. A couple,
in the arts.
Yes. A married couple who have been, Cass said she was a kid, 14, 15 years old when she first encountered the Sparks. And here we are in studio. Cast on 14.
No.
Nope.
I like how you said encountered. It's like I ran into him in an alley. That's what I encountered this part.
Well, I mean, that raises an interesting question, Greg and Rebecca. I'm sure if you go back and go, remember that venue we played or that, I mean, you've been all over the map, haven't you? A lot of different places you've been to.
Yeah. Well, we were all of the states.
All of the states. You've been in 50 states.
Probably, yeah. I'm trying to think if we've been in all of the Northwest states performing. We've driven through them, you know.
I played in all of them because I fanned off from the bands.
Oh, did you?
Bashed in the Code and Found Free, and I toured for a couple of years as a backup singer.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Do you remember the Reba Rambo?
Sure.
Yeah.
I
was.
Is that
I
right?
recorded a couple of projects with her and Donnie McGuire. And
Donnie McGuire. Oh my gosh.
Great fun days, but one of the funniest. But they played everywhere. You know, because they were like real tours and like, you know, so I do remember like hitting all of those states. Remember the Cow Palace? Were you at this?
Dallas.
No, this was in the Northwest. Yeah,
the Cow Palace.
The Cow Palace. Yeah, so that was like in the glam days of Reba, and wear like high heels, and it was a lot of bling, like the eyelashes
Urban
had to have
cowboy.
a manicure, everything was done. Yeah,
sure,
and it was like limousines, you know,
Really?
brought you to the venues. Yeah, it might have a lot to do with why I turned into the person I did, because I went the other direction.
It's been the pendulum swing ever since.
Exactly.
Your anti-limousine.
But I am. But she had to when you saw Cow Palace, you were like, we're laughing, like going, isn't that funny? That's a funny like name for a venue.
It's gigantic, though, isn't it?
Turned out it actually was a cow. Cows were like so the
like
floor.
An auction place.
Yeah, I mean it fit thousands of people, but there was dirt and more on.
Really?
Yeah, on like they had to do planks
the rodeo.
to get
Dirt and more.
dirt and more.
Like the rodeo in a way, right?
Yeah, it was like a rodeo.
Yeah, but they just turned it into like, when you're in South Dakota, I mean, you don't have like a lot of different places to
Right.
choose from. So,
Right.
It's not PPG Place, right?
It was amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you look back and think, wow, I can't believe we've been able to support ourselves doing this?
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it, and that's where the scriptures just say, you commit your way to the Lord and don't trust in your own great ideas. Just like trust in God, look to Him, and just rest in the Lord. Rest in the great ideas of Yahweh God.
Yeah.
and it is a terrifying way to live. I always, Jesus ruined my life.
Yes. He's no respecter of persons.
He just, all the ideas that you think, oh, this is what we, that's, it was not the plan of God.
No.
And we know our songs. Like I pulled out one of our CDs because I had the grandkids, in the Jeep, and I was like, it was a beautiful summer day, not today, but yesterday.
Last week, yeah.
And last week. And so I popped in one of our the Love CD, and it's a great put the windows down and just crank it up, and I'm listening to it going, this is a great album.
Yeah,
it's a great
that
album.
must be a really
go
good
buy it
feeling.
right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, like 500 people own it.
Right.
But that, after a while, you have to start asking the question: do you create so that you are known and popular, or do you create because that's what's inside you to do?
Yeah.
And if it's just a couple of people who they hear a song and they go, wow, that really redirected me, or that really touched me today, or that, you have to be able to hands up to heaven that and just let it go and let God be the one that directs it. And that's just been the story of our life, though. And God keeps providing.
God keeps providing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what you said, it's terrifying as well while you're going through the process.
Yeah, because you have the other side of your brain that is like,
you got family, you got a kid, you got a mortgage, you got all these things.
Yeah. I mean, retirement, that's it. don't even know how that works out.
We're on the
Well, I'm going to be
But,
with you at PNC Park.
Are you?
Ushering. I am.
Ushering,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Ushering.
Yeah.
I don't know about they'll let me be an usher, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to get a job there or something.
Fine, I'll be right with you. It's fabulous. Guys, you want to get another song for us?
Yeah.
Sure.
Fabulous, good. Greg and Rebecca Sparks are with us here. Just you go.
Okay. This is a love song that we wrote that still, I stand behind every word.
Fabulous.
You have to do it a little faster then. When my eyes first rested on you, I felt a rush of heaven in my soul. Oh, I knew my life had changed, would never be the same. My lonely days of wandering finally gone. On this twisted turning highway, poor directions brought me down. But miracles are true, each road still led to you. The sweetest gift my life has ever found. Forever won't be long enough to hold you in my arms. Eternity is but a breath to be wrapped in all your charms. The deepest water, dear, couldn't quench this love. The highest mountain lifts me enough to know your heart is now my home. Your heart is now my home. Let me build my world around you, breathing deep the love we find. Each day we'll start again, darling, you're my best friend. Walking valleys and the shadows, I don't mind. Forever won't be long enough to hold you in my arms. Eternity is but a breath to be wrapped in all your charms. The deepest water, dear, couldn't quench this love. The highest mountain lifts me high enough to know your heart is now my home. Oh, your heart is now my home. Hold me in your heart forever. My love, oh, won't you hold me in your heart forever. My love, forever won't be long enough to hold you in my arms. Eternity is but a breath to be wrapped in all your charms. The deepest water, dear, couldn't quench this love. The highest mountain lifts me high enough to know your heart is now my home. Oh, your heart is now my
Wow. Excellent. Beautiful. Really, really fabulous.
Love you guys. Thanks for coming in
you.
today.
Yeah, good. Hey, listen, people, Sparks House, right? You guys meet, you worship together every Sunday, right?
No, but we will be worshiping together in May. Like, we'll give you a date. Yeah.
We do quarterly
worship.
worship times together right now.
Quarterly. Okay, very
Bible
good.
studies
We're hoping
every
in the
Thursday.
fall to make that a regular Sunday evening thing.
Yeah.
John might show up at your place weekly.
Sunday, this Sunday. Just
Just count. Just count. Yeah, we'll be watching a movie, but that's okay.
Greg and Rebecca Sparks, check them out.
101.5 WORD.
This week on Truth for Life, we'll take a close look at the dramatic encounter between David and Goliath. It's a familiar but often misunderstood story. Find out where David got the courage to do what an entire army feared doing. That's on Truth for Life with Alistair Begg.
Tomorrow morning at 6 on 101.5 WORD.
Contact the tax group for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call the tax group right now at 800-792-4730. The tax group will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes, and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-792-4730 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730.
Foreman is the heavyweight champion of the world.
On April 28th, experience the movie based on the miraculous story of George Foreman.
George Foreman ain't no new champ. He is the new chump. Foreman is down.
I'm not going to box anymore. I'm going to follow God. It's the greatest comeback story of all time.
There's only two things I know how to do. Box and preach. And preaching won't pay the bills.
Foreman's 45 years old. The risk isn't losing, it's surviving.
How can you beat that man?
I'm going to do this my way. Big George Foreman, exclusively in movie theaters, April 28th. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-235-5588. That's 800-235-5588. 800-235-5588.
Trip to Europe. Visit all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Go skydiving. Okay, so you know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune into Your Retirement Blueprint with Kurt Kenodic and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group, Saturdays at 10 a.m. to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen every Saturday morning at 10 to Your Retirement Blueprint with Accurate Solutions Group. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
Greg and Rebecca Sparks. I mean, I love having musicians in studio, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a whirlwind. It's so there's nothing about seeing creativity right in front of you.
Yep, it's so true. Artists in the church have their own little pocket, and for people who aren't in it, it's hard to understand.
Yeah,
and for people who are in it, they often feel misunderstood by other people in the church.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wait, no, go on. Because I see you, and then I've shown up at your church, and I see you in a whole other light. And you're with like fabulous musicians,
right?
And leading this. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. I have no understanding
it's like
of the
different
language,
right?
It's
like a different language. Yeah. But I think that people who are creative, Greg kind of touched on this a little bit when he was talking. Or no, it was off the air. It wasn't on the air. He was talking about being in studio and how he had a producer who the instant he would stop playing, would stop recording, the producer would be on the talkback, kind of telling him what he could improve.
Right.
And he said he realized that his artistry was not going to happen with always having in his head the fact that in another minute somebody's going to criticize what I just did. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of like tamps it down. Yeah. Anyway, I was thinking as he was talking that I think that's some of the thing that creatives in the church feel is that they want to be loyal to their art and to produce what they want to produce. But there's always this little bit of fear that people in the church are going to think maybe it's not holy enough, or maybe it's not Christian enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, so maybe there's a delineation between...
like the sacred and secular. And, the creative person, whether it's visual art or I'm talking in particular about music, is looking to be as open as possible, and to write what comes to mind and to embrace what there is in the world musically that's going to help them along their own
So
path.
there's the tension between the traditionalists who say hymns only and a more, quote, seeker-friendly church.
Or, sometimes I wouldn't even say the divide is between hymns only and other music. I think the divide is people coming into the church feeling a strong opinion about either way and not wanting to accept something different. So if there's a church musician who is absolutely passionate about old music, about classical music, about classic hymns, and they're coming into a megachurch, and the megachurch is like, look, we only want Hillsong, or we only want Elevation, or whatever, that person is going to feel like, well, that's too bad, because my heart is for music that was written hundreds of years ago.
Right.
And then the church might say, well, then this isn't the church for you. You know what? It can happen in all sorts of ways, or people don't like the instrument you play, or I'm not trying to play poor man. I mean, I work at the most wonderfully encouraging church that you could ever find.
But it's a good conversation.
But it is a good conversation. I think it's important for people outside of art to just get a little window into what it's like inside of art.
Because music draws you in. Or not.
Everybody.
Right? Yeah. Everyone has a taste that they go, this speaks to me. And especially in worship, I want to be drawn into a deeper conversation with the Holy Spirit. So what kind of music does that for you? And and you wouldn't be out of touch if you said, I need to, go to X church because they speak to me in a different way. I don't think that's shallow. Do you?
I don't think it's shallow, but I don't think style should be the number one reason you choose a church, or you should just skip around until you find it.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750.
Let's be real. Retirement is expensive, and inflation is making it even harder with the cost of everything going up from pet food to a dozen eggs. Wouldn't it be great if the cost of your health care could go down? Well, Medishare 65 Plus is $99 a month for ages 65 to 74. And for many with Medicare Parts A and B, looking at other options, that's 50% or more saved per month. No gimmicks. It's $99 a month, and you can use any Medicare-approved doctor or facility, and you get 24/7 access to telehealth from the convenience of your home. Better yet, Medishare is a Christian nonprofit organization. It's a community that'll pray for you and encourage you. And since we've cut out the middleman, you get to keep the savings. Call now. You can learn more about Medishare 65 Plus. Here's the number: 833-SHARE-55. That's 833-SHARE-55. 833-SHARE-55.
Contact the tax group for details and restrictions. Attention anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this, because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call the tax group right now at 800-792-4730. The tax group will provide you with the maximum protection afforded by law.
I got behind on my taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes, and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-792-4730 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, and other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730. 800-792-4730.
This is a wild story. A Spanish woman emerged from a cave Friday following a solo challenge that lasted more than 500 days. Beatrice Flamini left the surface to live 230 feet underground in November of 2021 as part of a project that also gave scientists and psychologists the chance to investigate the impact of living alone underground for a long time, including the effect on the circadian rhythm. With no human contact or internet access during this time, Flamini remained completely unaware of major news events, including the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth. She says, "I don't know what happened in the world," the climbers and mountaineers told reporters after returning to the surface in Grenada. Spanish media reported that Fellini's feat set a new world record for the amount of time spent underground. She was briefly forced to halt the challenge for 8 days after about 300 days due to a technical issue, but stayed alone in a tent without human contact during that time. She's 48 when she entered the cave. She's now 50. She spent her days reading, writing, drawing, and knitting, and documenting her progress with 2 GoPro cameras. She explained that she stopped trying to count how long the days were in the cave after a certain amount of time. She said she spent most of her days in silence, speaking only when recording videos, and she experienced auditory hallucinations. It's not that time passes more quickly or slowly, she says. It's that time doesn't pass because it's always 4 in the morning. Thinking that she had only spent between 160 and 170 days, she was surprised when the team came to find her. She said, "I thought they came down to tell me that I had to leave because something happened on the outside." She said, despite the challenges, she would do this again. I would never want to go back to the regular way I lived. This taught me some deeper lessons about my life.
Oh, wait, she thought she was down there for 170 days, and
Yep.
she was down there for
500 days, alone in the dark in a cave.
That sounds like my work. That sounds awful.
She loved it. She didn't speak to anybody. She knit. She wrote. Isn't that wild?
You guys.
500 days, 230 feet under the ground.
Stop it.
The Ride Home with John and Kathy, a production of Salem Media Group.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. Even the Biden administration understands how unpopular radical transgender policies are. That's why they're trying to have it both ways with biological men in women's sports. First, the Department of Education released new guidelines nullifying the bans 20 states have passed on men competing in women's sports. But simultaneously, they're allowing schools receiving federal funds to stop transgender athletes from playing in leagues that don't conform to their biological sex under certain strict criteria. The result is an incoherent mishmash, but the takeaway is clear as day. President Biden wants to be able to claim he's protected female athletes. At the same time, he wants to pacify the loud and aggressive transgender lobby and keep states from championing all-female sports in any meaningful way. The device is too clever by half. America's women see through it, and we're not impressed.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker, too. Plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD FM.